Hey everyone, how we doing? My name is Tim Pongares and this is Focus on Detailing. Today's video is going to be all about Bowden's own. What I've got with me is a large amount of Bowden's own exterior detailing products. I'll be going over each one, outlining how they work, but leaving my thoughts and opinions till the end of the video, discussing each product separately. We've got Orange Agent, Wheelie Clean, Snow Job, Wax, Wash, Fine, Clay Bar, Cleanse and Restore, Afterglow, Fully Slick, Naked Glass and Tyre Sheen. Now Wax Wash isn't the best for this video and I'll explain why later, but also why I've included it in the lineup. There's a lot to go through, so let's get straight into it.
I've purposely let my car get really dirty just for this video, and yes, it has hurt leaving it to get this way. There's dirt stuck all over the paint, grime in all around the wheels, paint that basically needs tidying up and protecting. Now I won't be including Bowden's own towels or cleaning cloths, as it would no doubt go for too long. I don't really like making long drawn out reviews, rather short, sharp and sweet. They really deserve a separate review all on their own. But anyway, back into it. The very first thing I'll be doing, as always, is targeting the wheels, wheel wells and tyres. If there's a fair amount of dirt and mud in the wheel wells, then it's a good idea to give them a pressure wash to release a lot of it before moving on. So the very first product I'll be using today is Wheelie Clean. Lucky enough here to be using the new formula. I sprayed all over the wheel so I could have more time to break down and help release a lot of the brake dust and more embedded road grime. While that was doing its thing, I grabbed the next product to be used, Orange Agent. Essentially, it's an all-purpose cleaner. But for today, I'll be using it on the plastics all around the wheel wells and tyres. I sprayed a generous amount all around where I needed it, leaving it for a minute or two before then giving it a real good scrub from a bucket of soapy water. Once I was content working with Orange Agent, I then moved back to the wheels where Wheelie Clean was still resting. I used my wheel woolies and brush to agitate the product starting from the top and working my way down, making sure to reach every spot. Both products were then thoroughly rinsed off with a pressure washer, taking all the grime, brake dust and dirt with them. My wheels were relatively clean, but if you're wanting to see some dirty wheels get cleaned up using Wheelie Clean, then feel free to check out my other video, where I review both Wheelie Clean and Tyre Sheen together. Link will be in the description. It was time now to move on to rinsing down all of that loose dust and dirt across the car. This was done by simply rinsing it down using the pressure washer, as usual starting from the top and working my way down. Now for the fun bit, seeing what my car looks like if it were white. I added 2 caps of Snow Job to my foamy foam cannon. That was filled up to 1 litre with warm water. Giving it a shake, I then moved over to the car to begin spraying it down with a thick layer of foam from top to bottom. It was a pretty warm day, so unfortunately I couldn't let it rest for too long as I didn't want it baking onto the paint. I let it rest for around 3 minutes before then rinsing it all off. This is basically a hands-free wash, as I hadn't yet laid a finger on the paint, but that was soon to change as it's now time for wax wash. I first moved my car into where it would be cooler, and it would allow me to be a little more thorough rather than rushing through it. One bucket full of clean water for rinsing out my wash mitt, and the other bucket, which was around 3/4 full, with 1 cap of wax wash for washing. I went in straight back and forth motions across the surface, working in sections at a time before rinsing it off. Every so often, depending on how dirty the panel was, I would dunk the wash mitt into the rinsing bucket, so it could drop all of that mess picked up rather than rubbing it back into the paint. Now back to what I said at the beginning, that this wouldn't be the best product for this video. It's in the name wax wash. The wax is something that's kind of unnecessary, as I'll be taking it off or stripping it when using the clay bar and cleanse and restore. Nanolicious or Auto Body Gel could have been better, but I chose this as someone from the comment section wanted me to do a review on it, so I thought I would kill 2 birds with 1 stone and add it to the list of products here today. The next step easily joins up to this one, as I'll be still using my wash mitt and soapy water, but now with the fine clay bar. First thing was to mould a piece of the bar so it was easy to work with, and just as before, I wiped my wash mitt over the surface, but now working in smaller sections. I followed up with the clay bar rubbing in straight motions, using the soap as a lubricant so the bar didn't grab or stick, but it was still able to remove those harder to clean contaminants. You may hear and feel in some spots that are a little dirtier. It's as easy as focusing in on that affected area until it feels like the rest, super slick as it should be. I'll finish off this step by rinsing off each section that I worked on. Before moving on, the car needed to be completely dried off. This was simply done by using a saturated microfiber towel that was wrung out when it had taken in as much water as it could. Now the paint was all set for the final cleaning or stripping step if you'd like. This is where paint cleanse and restore comes into play. I applied some of the product to an applicator pad and worked it around to ensure all of the spots of the pad were covered as instructed. From there I went straight into working it across the paint. Back and forth, side to side, up and down, all in straight motions. It's stated that it can be applied in circular motions if you are working inside, as there would be minimal, well, hopefully, no dust that could have settled on the car. But it's safer in my case to work in straight motions. Dust on the paint is a big no-no. Wash it again if you really need to, otherwise you can potentially add what this product tells us it will not produce, and that's swirl marks. It's good to take your time when using PC&R, as you want to make sure you get every spot, going back over where you've been until it turns to a haze. Then it can be wiped off with a microfiber towel. This is to prep the car for the protection stage, allowing for the sealants to adhere better to the exterior. I'll usually wipe with one side of the microfiber towel to remove the majority of the excess product, then turn it over to a buff to a nice clean finish. Also important to note here to avoid hitting black plastics and rubber, as it can leave white marks. I know it says paint, cleanse and restore, but I wanted to see what it would be like with restoring my side indicator lights. Well, I know I said comments at the end of the video, but come on, that is a decent job. So the car has been cleaned right up, decontaminated and cleansed, but now this leaves it unprotected. Bring in Afterglow. I'm using 2 microfiber towels here. One saturated and one dry. The wet towel received around 7 sprays of Afterglow into the low pile, then gently wiped across the surface. Around a minute after applying it to a section, I used the clean dry microfiber towel to buff to a nice slick finish. Same as cleanse and restore, I'd use one side, usually the low pile, for the first few wipes, then the other plush side to buff. Unfortunately, the camera wasn't really picking up the slight residue that the dry microfiber towel was picking up from applying Afterglow. But this is what you're wanting to remove, to make the product work to the best of its ability. Applying Afterglow can potentially be enough, but I wanted to go that extra step and add some more protection and shine. Up next, Fully Slick. Before jumping straight in, I had to wait 15 minutes for Afterglow to cure before applying Fully Slick. It was done in almost exactly the same way, except both towels were dry. One was to have around 6 to 7 sprays of the product before then wiping it across the paint yet again. It left streaks with the first wipe as it should, but that was then taken off with a second dry towel, leaving a nice protective coating behind with an excellent shine. Now for the glass, a commonly overlooked area to clean, but when done right, will really help finish off the car. I sprayed naked glass directly in all microfiber towel, then thoroughly worked it across the glass, reaching every spot. I then finished it off by going over it again using a cloth dedicated for glass. Lint free and low pile. You can also use one towel alone here, such as Bowden's own Big Softy, with one side for the product and the other side clean for buffing. It really comes down to whatever works for you. This glass cleaner is also safe to use on chrome, but since my car lacks that, I'm all good to move on to the next stage. Last but not least, tyre sheen. I used a generous amount across the tyres, spraying all across. This does create a better, longer lasting shine in contrast to applying it from an applicator pad, but only downside is it would inevitably hit your wheels too. Easy enough to follow up with another microfiber towel though. That is it for the lineup. This is the end result. My XR6 was filthy, with stubborn dirt and marks all over. But with the help of all these products, it left it looking super tidy, back to the way it should. Now to recap each product, giving my thoughts. Although I only used it in a small section, Orange Agent is a very versatile product. I've used it for all round interior cleaning, wheel cleaning, engine cleaning, and plastic and rubber cleaning. It did a fantastic job of helping remove that built up mess in usually the dirtiest of areas. The new Formula Wheelie Clean has had a drastic change in its odour. Quoting from the bottle, no longer smelling like arse, comparing to the original brew. It definitely is no longer harsh on the nostrils. Though my wheels were not too dirty, it still did a great job of removing the stubborn brake dust. I've also seen it used on paint as a chemical decontamination method. I haven't tried it yet, but it seems to do a great job from what I've seen. Whole cars dripping in purple from the product reacting with the iron particles. Snow job was a seriously pleasant surprise. When I poured in the amount instructed, I was thinking to myself, this isn't gonna foam up like I wanted it to. And if it didn't, the whole video would have been ruined. But I was completely wrong. A small amount went a long way, coating the car in a nice thick layer of foam. This also helped with a safer wash. Wax wash smelled amazing, like I was wiping a banana across my paint, except without the mess. It foamed up really well in the bucket and only from one capful, and was sliding across the car with ease. Not only did it make for some super suds, but they all easily slipped off the car when it was time to be rinsed. This fine clay bar is a common go-to for me. It's easy to work with, although maybe it would be good to see a medium grade and heavy grade for those different paint types or when the car is in desperate need of decontamination. You can see that mine wasn't too bad, but still made short work of removing those bugs. Paint Cleanse and Restore is a new one for me. Not a correcting product, but still managed to revitalise old dull paint or tidy up paintwork like mine, that may have had a few light marks or blemishes around. It was perfect for prepping the car for the protection stage, and one very noticeable aspect is that it was very easy to remove all the excess. Afterglow is a very popular water-based spray sealant, and I can see why. Simple enough to apply and creates an abnormally hydrophobic surface for a product that you would think would need more of it across the paint to stick and create a thicker layer. but I can't complain with that mirror-like finish. It can be applied the way I did it, or it can be applied while the car is still wet, acting as a drying aid, seen in another video of mine. Link will also be in the description. Fully Slick is an amazing spray sealant and yet again is easy to apply. Spray, wipe and buff. No streaking in the end and leaves a very smooth finish. Both Afterglow and Fully Slick could have purely been applied on their own, but I wanted to bump up that gloss and protection. Naked Glass brought my glass back to the way it should be, spotless. The most noticeable thing was how it left no streaking. I've dealt with a few glass cleaners that create more mess than when you've actually started, and can be a long drawn out process to keep going back and forth, but this worked exactly how it should. Tyre Sheen. As explained before, there are a few different ways to apply this depending on the look that you're after. Some people prefer the matte look, which means you would apply it from an applicator pad. Some others would prefer the more glossy look, which means you would spray the tyre directly. Either way, neither of them would sling up from the tyre up onto the body after waiting the required 15 minutes. I've done a review on this product before and was very happy. Dust did not even stick to it, although with that wet look you think it definitely would. It's pretty hard to tell you how long a lot of these protective products will last, as it will vary with how often you're using your car and where it's kept. I've added Afterglow, Fully Slick and Tyre Sheen to my car before. It gets minimal shade at work, I have around a 40-minute round trip for work, and at home it's under partial cover. All of them lasted for weeks on end. Afterglow and Fully Slick held in that shine and kept their water repelling ability up until I cleaned the car for this video, but obviously the dust stuck. Now there's a lot more to cover with each product, and I'd like to make a video dedicated to each one, but I believe that this is a good way to see how they all work together. If you're after more in-depth how-tos and descriptions of each product, then the best place to go would be the Bowden's own site. Yet another link that I'll add to the description. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and don't forget to check out some of my other uploads. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all later.